Do you love making rhinestone shirts like I do, and you cut your own templates, but you're getting tired of hand cutting around your design or parts of your design? In today's video, I'm going to show you there's a better way. There's a way where you never have to cut around your templates again, and it also makes them look nice and neat when you put them on your chopping mat. I'm going to show you how you can add a weeding box or a bounding box. I'm going to show you in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to show you in Silhouette Studio. And I'm going to show you if you use a Caesar cutting machine, you can have the machine do it automatically for you, even if you use the free version. So what is a weeding box or a bounding box? And I use those two terms interchangeably. But a weeding box is something that you cut or your machine cuts around your design. That is whether it is a rhinestone template, HTV, adhesive vinyl, anything that you're cutting with one of your cutting machines. Now let me show you something else. Here's another design that I did. I have the outline for the word GG, blessed above it, and then I have a top and a bottom of GG because I wanted this to be ombre style. I wanted the entire design to be on one piece of flock because when you have parts and pieces and they're separated by cuts, sometimes your stones can get caught in between. Let me show you what I mean by that. Now this is from when I first started, and these are actually separate designs. So this isn't a perfect example, but sometimes what people will do is they will take each part of a design, so maybe this bottom half, they'll put a weeding box around it, they'll cut it out separately. When you do that, each part and piece has a cut between it. And if you don't get those butted up really close like this, you can have rhinestones that fall down in there, and it just causes a little bit of drama. Not too much, but a little bit. That's why I like to put my entire design on one piece of flock if I can. Now, if you're wondering, what am I storing these on? Here's what I like to store them on. This is a flexible chopping mat, and I get these off of Amazon. I first started using the chopping mats from the Dollar Tree store, but you can see they are much smaller. I wanted to use these larger ones, and really the price is excellent on these. I'll put a link to these in the video description in case you're interested. Now let's get into the meat of the video, and that is how you add your weeding box around your rhinestone designs. I'm going to start in Cricut. I think that's probably what most people use. After that, we'll do Silhouette, and then lastly, I'll use the Leonardo software. Now that software is if you're using a Caesar cutter. I'm in Cricut, so I'm going to go over here and say Upload. I'm going to say Upload Image. If I could see my design on my desktop, I'd just drag it in. I can't, so I'll click Browse. I know that the word them is in my design, so I'll go ahead and search by that, and I see it right here. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is, at least for me, when I make rhinestone designs, I always put the file size in the file name. So you can see right there, this is using SS10 rhinestones. It needs to be 11.480 inches wide and 5.655 inches tall. That's very important because historically, rhinestone templates rarely came into Cricut the right size for me. Now they do most of the time, but you still want to check it. If your design's the wrong size, those holes are going to be smaller or larger, and your stones aren't going to fit correctly. So always note the size of your file. All right, let's go ahead and say Open. Don't worry about that they look fuzzy. That's going to clear up in a little bit. We'll say Continue, and then I'm going to say Upload. Notice how clear they look now. Now let's get rid of this panel, and then let me go ahead and zoom out. So here's my template, and this is all grouped together. I would not want to try to brush my rhinestones in with it looking like this. So let's go over here and let's ungroup them. Now the way you pull your design apart when you cut it is totally up to you. If you wanted let to be one layer, them to be a separate layer, and each of these three to be their own individual layers so that you could actually use ombre colors, you could do it that way. I'm just going to show you how I did it. Right over here, I would select the let layer. I'd click Command and hold it down, and then I would add this them layer to it. After that, I'd go right up here and I'd make those one group. All right, let's go ahead and pull that down. The next thing that I would do, because I want my stones to be the same color in all three of these, I would select all three layers. I could either do it by dragging over it, or once again, I could go over here, and then I'll say group. And I like how this looks. What I would do is, I would put some painter's tape here while I brush these in. Then I would put painter's tape between these while I brushed each of these words in. I just think that's the most efficient way to do it. But again, you could break these apart any way you want. Now in Cricut Design Space, to have it cut just like this, you know you have to attach those. But attaching it probably isn't going to be enough. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and select all three of these layers and I'll click attach. Now yes, they turn the same color, but that doesn't mean I have to use yellow stones in each of them. I'm going to pick and choose what color stones I want to use. So now it's time to add that weeding box around it. And we'll go right over here to shapes, click on it, and then I'm going to use this square. So when I click on it, a 2x2 square ends up right here. Let's get rid of this again. And then I can just drag this to cover my design. Notice it stays in a square. I can go right here to unlock, and then I can drag it exactly where I want it. All right, let's go ahead and send this to the back. So I'll click on Arrange, and I'll say Send to Back. And I can narrow this up. Now remember, Cricut Design Space cuts only, I think it's 11.75 inches wide. So I'm either going to have to make this box smaller, or I could rotate my design. But I have enough space in there I can make it smaller. Let's go right up here and we'll put 11.75 and I'll hit enter. Then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and select both layers and I'm going to go up to Align and I'll just center everything. And that looks good. The last step is to make the holes cut out of this weeding box. Notice Slice isn't available. And that's because all I did was attach these. I need to combine them. I'm going to use Unite. You could use Weld, but I just almost never use Weld anymore. To me, Unite does the same thing, but you can, steps later, undo Unite, whereas steps later, you can't undo Weld without going back, back, back. All right, so let's click off of this. Let's find our design. We're going to go to Combine and Unite. Now if I select both of these, notice that Slice shows up, so I'm going to click on it. Now all I want to keep is this black box, so we're going to click on this one, delete it, click on this one and delete it, and here's exactly what I want. That's my weeding box around the correct size of design. Next, let's look at it in Silhouette Studio. Now I have Silhouette Studio Business Edition, because it is the only one where you can make a design and save it as an SVG. I also have a fairly new version of Silhouette Studio. I have Silhouette Studio 5. So if your panels look a little different, that's okay. If you have Silhouette Business Edition, this will still work. It probably works in other versions, but I only have the Business Edition to know. All right, let's go up to Design. Then I'm going to click right here. I'm going to say File, Merge. Once again, I know the word them is in it, so I'll use the search feature and it's right here. Now remember, this is 11.480 inches wide. I've never had an issue in Silhouette, but I still always want to check it. So I'll click on it and I'll say OK. And we have 11.480 by 5.655, the exact size that I made it. All right, so everything is grouped together. I'm going to go Object, Ungroup, and I'm going to separate this just like I did last time. I'll click on Let. Now in Silhouette, you hold the Shift key down to add them to it. Then I'll go up to Object and Group. Now I can just drag that down. Let's select all three of those layers, and I can go Object and group those. And actually, grouping the individual layers was a wasted step. I didn't need to do that. I could just select everything, go up to Object, and say Group. Now it's time to add the weeding box. I'm going to click right over here, click on this rectangle, and then I'll just drag around my design. Now I do like to change out a color, so let's go up here and let's just change it black. That's blocking my design, so with it still selected, I'll go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. And I need to go right here to the Select tool to get out of that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and select both groups. I'll go to Object, Align, and let's align both vertically and horizontally. The last thing is go to Object, Modify, and Subtract. Unlike Cricut Design Space, you don't have to have everything united or welded together to do this. And you can see it took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. Now, if you didn't know this, Silhouette actually has a weeding tool that you can use. I have not had good luck with this on Rhinestone templates. It works on other things for me, but on Rhinestone templates, it doesn't, and it's very frustrating. For me, it's quicker and easier just to do it the way I did it. So lastly, we're going to do this in Leonardo. Let me go ahead and open that software. This is Leonardo Design Studio. I'll go to File and Import. Once again, I'll use my search bar. It's right here, so I'll click on it and I'll say Open. I'm going to change this to Cut Only. With my Rhinestone templates, that's what I always click on. I really don't want to edit anything. So I'll click on Cut Only and I'll say Next. I do like to have the solid fills, so I'll click on that and I'll say Apply. All right, everything is grouped together. So if I go right here, I hover on it, and then I can hover here to make sure that's ungroup. It is, so I'll click on it. Now let's click on Let. We'll hold the Shift key down and add them to it. And then I can go right back here, and I can say to group it if I want to. All right, let's drag that down. Let's go ahead and drag this set of things up. Let's drag this group up. I like the way that is, so I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to say Weld. If you wanted to actually design a weeding box into this, you could, but for me, this just makes more sense. I'm going to say Send Design. Then I click on Send again. I like all these settings. That's just what it was defaulted to. And I always like to kind of move this up and over. That way it's more in the center. And then right here, you see Auto Weed Box? We're going to click on that. And the line that you see around that, that is our weeding box. So let's move the design over a little bit. You can see the design weed box over here. And because that's so wide, I'm actually going to rotate it. Then you say Send to Cutter. And then I just leave this default on and I say OK. So hopefully the video's been helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to try to answer those. And if you're looking for more Rhinestone videos, I have a ton of them on my channel. So thanks again, and I hope to see you in my next video.